My fascination with Kowloon Walled City was an unpredictable nostalgia. It'd always been a place I tacitly understood, a place demolished, and left in its rubble, memories stuck in time. But remnants remained in art, in depictions, written description, and visual documentation that found me. I was engrossed in the oddity, in the idiosyncrasy, in the possibilities that existed here. It was a miracle that an adaptation of a manga set in a fictional Kowloon was set to arrive. And it did. So here are my 3 favorite things in 300 seconds of a Kowloon Generic Romance. It's no surprise with my opening about Kowloon that it's one of my favorite aspects, particularly how Kowloon is represented visually. This is Kowloon Walled City. The tight corridors parading as streets, the dingy buildings worn through the tide of time, the open shops and bustle of life, the writings on walls used as signposts and guides, the various roofs allowing respite from the enclosure of daily life. There are many details evoking the feeling of Kowloon, and this helps the setting feel lived in. Kowloon has history, but the show isn't able to divulge details. Instead, they're left in the open, a matter of fact to the characters and visually for us. All of this is in service to this entrancing atmospheric nostalgia that is central to the show's themes, as it draws from an authenticity towards the real location. The setting feels real, and it feels like it has its claws deep in the psyches of the characters because of how it's visually able to recreate Kowloon and parts of its identity, even with falsities. There are self-admitted liberties since the story takes place in a more futuristic era, and also the original creator's desires, but the overall visual treatment in capturing the essence of Kowloon was great in immersing me in a version that looked true to its inspiration. One of the biggest surprises was the show's fascinating mixture of genre. There's an ensuing mystery embroiled in an increasingly ambitious sci-fi plot that grows in complexity as the character drama is untangled. There's many moving pieces, and for me it never felt too overwhelming, except maybe the ending. And this is owed to how many of the different elements are interconnected. As Kujirai goes through her character arc, we also learn about the mechanics of the world, how she's an imperfect recreation, and that the Kowloon they're in doesn't even exist. Now that we question reality, we're given insight into an ongoing investigation by characters like Gwen and Miyuki, with their history related to Kowloon, having grown up there, but also the overarching drama between them fueled by revenge and obsession. But we don't stop there. As we learn more about how the world's sci-fi elements work, we get more details on characters like Yomei. She deals with her feelings of identity and the past, which shares a thematic core with other characters, and also a recurring question related to the mystery. We're constantly questioning reality and how the past and present of Kowloon can converge in real time, and thinking about if it really matters. As the show pulls us forward, it does so using all of the pieces previously presented. There may be an expansive and complex system that is shrouded in mystery, but it's embroiled deeply into character drama, which eases it, making it quite enjoyable to see unravel. While the show is about Kujirai and Kudo, their budding relationship, and Kudo being important to the setting, what caught my eye even more were the side characters. While we got to see Kujirai take the reins and forge a path for herself in the latter half, Kudo remained mostly absent. But the slack was picked up by the side characters, like Yomei. She managed to not only have a dedicated backstory episode, but also served an important role in investigating the major mystery. And right from her early inclusion, she was a great grounding aspect and added color. She's an outsider who is roped into the main drama, and we get to see the story filtered through her uplifting perspective. We also have Xiao Hei, who we also see an arc form from the start of the show to the end, in ways that drastically change our perception of her and her struggles. There's also Gwen and even Miyuki, who is presented initially quite deviously, but slowly and meticulously morphs to the point where at times they're the star of the show. Even the characters who end up joining late, like Yulong, hold a great deal of history with the other supporting cast, and in the small glimpses provided, shows a reasonable depth with his motivations and inclusion. At times, the main characters take a backseat, but the result is getting an incredibly fleshed out cast, some of which we get to see change and grow in the entire running, and others challenge our perception and add a great deal of variety and nuance to the story. Kowloon Generic Romance was a show that I went into to satiate my curiosity for a place in our history I find incredibly interesting. And what I got out of it was exactly that. A Kowloon that still exists. One that is represented in such a wonderful way with a great deal of depth into its mystery, functionality, and characters. The show may have ended on a strange note for an adaptation of a currently ongoing manga, and I may never really know what the true story is, unless I were to read the source. And that may be fitting. It may just be appropriate for the kind of story this is that I'm interested enough to revisit this nostalgia, to turn back time and explore more of this Kowloon Generic Romance. And that was the end of the video. It's been a while since I made a free and free, but this is, I think, a good format for when I just want to make a shorter video and make something that's less intense in terms of the contents of the script. And that's something that I talked about on my post on my Patreon page. There is a free membership option. Well, I guess you can just view it in public because that's what the free membership means. You're just kind of following the page. But I made a post with my tentative plans for what I want to make in terms of heavier videos. And in between, I'm going to fill the space with free and frees or just lighter stuff, whatever comes to mind. Links are in the description below. The one last thing I want to leave off on as I put focus here on the Patreon supporters is I use a lot of sources in terms of where I got the photos and the documentary videos that I showed off. A lot of that will be in the sources below, and I've tried to categorize all the photos I used in terms of where in the specific book that I referenced to the best of my ability. I used a lot of photos, so I'll try my best to have it in order. Other than that, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.